Well, welcome to this edition of Talking Pints, and we are at Max Line Brewery, not in any way drinking beer while working, and and I'm here with Dexter Finley with Elevations Credit Union.
Yep.
About a first-time home buyer savings account, which caught my attention because I thought this was a really cool idea. Is it a federal account? Is it a private account? What's this thing look like?
So it's a new rule that allows home buyers to save money in any account, really, as long as they deem it that way, as a first-time home buyer account. But it allows them to not pay interest at a state level with any interest gained on that account. So they could put money away, gain interest on it, and then once they take it out, they're not going to have to pay the state tax on it.
Okay, and then that becomes a down payment. It's verifiable for your uses.
Yep.
No, can anybody contribute to that or just them?
So typically it can kind of go either way. If they can start an account, that account can also be added to by other people. Ultimately, no more than $50,000 can be put into one of these accounts.
Okay, that's good to know.
And the total can't exceed $150,000. So, meaning you got 50 and you gain 100, which would take
which is
some time.
Exactly what the 1% interest rates. Actually, they've come up a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Might take a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. At least 45 days to get there.
Yep.
Awesome. I like it. That sounds like a really good program. So you can't contribute more than $50,000. It can't have more than $150,000 in it when you go to use it. Which actually, I mean, you could be a first-time home buyer later in life and have established this account the entire time. You could actually conceivably get close to that.
Well, and technically, a first-time home buyer is someone who hasn't owned real estate in 3 years.
Well, right. It's not somebody who's like 70 and was like, I'm going to buy my first house.
Right.
Tell us more about any of the challenges of first-time home buyers that you can see, or any of the solutions that you bring to the table.
Yeah. So the biggest challenges right now for first-time home buyers is going to be down payment, typically, and then values. So as rates have been higher and values have been much higher,
right?
Going into a first-time home buyer situation, looking at an entry home at $450,000 or so, payments typically are going to be somewhere around $3,500, depending on how much down payment they have.
Right.
So the challenges I've seen with people is making sure they have enough people involved in the loan. So whether it's partners or you have a co-borrower, something like that.
Right.
People who are willing to co-sign with you. The biggest factor is going to be the monthly payment. Can they afford it? Not only can we qualify you,
right,
because that's separate, but can you actually afford it for your own budget?
Right, and that's actually a great point, because there's a lot of buyers out there that would qualify for a lot more than what they're buying, and that's different than what we've seen in the past, especially like pre-2008 housing bubble. If you were qualified for a $400,000 loan, or a $400,000 house, I should say, after your down payment, we're looking at $450,000 because they're going to push that to the absolute limit. And now I think first-time home buyers are just smarter.
Yeah.
Now they're looking at it saying, well, great, I can do a $600,000 house, but not according to my budget.
Right.
I don't want to put that large of a portion, and that's a great move we've seen. Is that maybe the housing bubble kind of brought people back to reality on what they should be leveraged in a house.
I think a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. I think some of it too, like as a lender, one of our questions, we're going to ask about what's your timeline, what kind of purchase price are you looking at, how much down payment do you want? But one of the questions I like asking is, what do you want for a payment? Which is loaded, because often people joke, $100,
Right, of course. I want no payment.
Or $50, Yeah, no payment. But what I try to explain and what lenders try to explain is just what you said. There's going to be a difference between what you can qualify for and what you want to qualify for, and those can move.
Sure.
They can be either way, and so then it's just a question of, if you want your payment to be $2,000, that's fine, but what purchase price are we looking at based on how much down payment you have?
Right, absolutely. What would be a piece of advice you would give somebody trying to buy in this market, their first house or even not, but trying to get into a market, and it just seems like it's so unaffordable to such a large portion of especially first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
But we still see a lot of first-time home buyers that are purchasing in Fort Collins or around northern Colorado.
Yep. Ooh,
Oh, on the spot, I got it. I got him now. He has to think.
What's like the biggest thing? I would, first of all, I want to stay in my lane on this, but I would try not to get too picky on what you can get. In that if you can just get something and get your foot in the door,
Right.
you're going to be building that equity hopefully at a lower cost than trying to outsave and outpace the market. So
Right.
if you can get in without breaking your own budget, do it. Also, and my wife and I did this when we bought our first house, we actually rented out our basement to a couple college students, like one at a time. And that was a nice way to offset our own mortgage payment.
Right.
So try to think creatively about things like that too. Are
Right.
there others who'd be willing to, be a roommate just to get in? Also save as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of house hacking kind of ideas out there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.